Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is CMG Talk. I am Catherine Gallagher, and CMG stands for Communication, Motivation and Growth. It also happens to be my initials. Step Up. Step Up is my company name, and I called my company Step Up because motivation and stepping up into our life and into what's important to us is important for me. And throughout my life, I have been always challenging myself, and within my clinical practice, I invite people to step up to those challenges, whether it's emotional challenges, whether it's physical challenges, but to those things that people hold important in their life. Having that difficult conversation, whether it's owning what matters, owning what we do that isn't working for us, taking ownership and accountability and responsibility. That means I too have to do that, and I know at times that can be hard because as human beings it can be difficult to challenge ourselves at times, can't it? It can be hard at times to motivate ourselves. We struggle, but then if we don't struggle, how can we possibly then enjoy, embrace, relish the good if you don't have the difficult? I'm often asked to do talks because I know that one of the things I'm particularly good at is motivating. My clients will often say that to me, that I have a way of motivating them. But really what I do is help them to find a way of formulating the words that they have already within them. It's unlocking. It's getting the key to the lock to be able to have that insight, the aha moment, the light bulb moment, that time where you go, that is what I meant. That's exactly. That makes sense. Think about what is going on with you right now. What is it that inspires, or what is it that's holding you back? What are the things that you go through right now, or are going through right now, that you need that aha moment, the light bulb, the challenge? What is it you need to have happen right now in your life? Do you ever have that moment, that time in your life where you have that, it's not fair? Why does it happen to other people? Why is it not happening to me? For me, the why is it happening to other people is irrelevant, because if we stay focused and keep in our own lane and we do us, if I do me, then I can focus on what I need to do. And it's not about being selfish, it's about being self-full. I coined that term, if you like, about 30 odd years ago, talking within my practice about focusing back on yourself, understanding what you need to do to top you up. If we take care of ourselves, we can then be there for other people. Showing ourselves that care, that compassion, that insight, driving ourselves forward. If you need any further convincing on that, think about times where you've been depleted, times where you've not felt at your best. How easy is it to tune in to other people's challenges, struggles, listening to other people when they're not in a good place if you don't feel particularly great yourself? It's hard, isn't it? It's like you tune out. It's like it's overwhelming. I can't listen to any more. You see, one of the things that I really am passionate about is connections and relationships, good communication. I love the people in my life. I love nurturing the relationships in my life. Making time for people is what matters to me. If I don't take care of the people in my life, if I don't make time for people in my life, nothing happens. The most important thing we have is time, and that time goes so quickly. It's precious. We have the choice every day to wake up and have a good or a bad day, depending on our mindset. True? What do you think? It's all about how we point our brain. It's all about what we choose to do with how we feel about how things are. We can either look at things as a challenge, as something to point our brain at, to focus on, seeing it as something to enjoy, to make the most out, to get the best out, to learn from, to grow from, or we can see it as something that overwhelms and overcomes and takes over. Bad things happen to good people all the time. They also happen to bad people too, right? That's just how life is. I was watching a programme last night. The one thing I don't like is injustice, particularly injustice to people that are good people. But I know that that happens. Should it happen? Well, that's another topic for another day. However, when I see people, because none of us are perfect, we all have flaws, but when I see people deliberately being selfish and acting in a way where they are not really caring about the impact they're having on other people, because what they're really doing is focusing on their own self, regardless of consequences. I hear it all. I literally hear it all. Because of the job I do and the work I do and what I have done in my practice and in the work that I've done over the years. I saw real suffering. I really have saw real suffering. But out of absolute suffering, I have saw humanity at its best. I've also seen humanity at its worst. And yet I'm still hopeful, but I am not naive. I'm not naive, but I'm also not jaded. But that's a choice. That's a choice that I make. People that know me, who really know me, know the journey that I have been on. And they know. But I believe there are a lot more good people out there, because I meet them every day. I'm privileged to meet them every day. I see real suffering. I see people going through absolute pain and suffering. But I also see out of that strength, courage. I see people really doing digging deep and doing the best they can with what they have. I know that they struggle to see any positive sense of and making sense of what they're going through. But I also see people finding joy in the smallest things. Kindness, gratitude, care, compassion. I remember meeting a lady many years ago. I can share this because I'm allowed to. And she didn't have a lot, but she was the most caring and compassionate person I have ever seen. And even in her elderly years, every day, in her 90s, she would get up every day and she would go out and she would visit people. And often it was people she didn't know, but she would hear that they were struggling, families, people on their own, and she would go out and she would often walk for miles to go and visit people. And she would turn up to give them company. She would turn up to give them things that they needed. A kettle, a toaster, a listening ear. And she was the most generous person. But she often forgot to take care of herself. Let's call her Mary. And I remember saying to her one day, Mary, you're a loving, caring, compassionate and generous woman. I said, but I'm concerned that I'm not seeing you really taking care of yourself. And she said to me, that's for God to do. That's for God to do. My job is to take care of others. I see people and I see that they're struggling. It gives me so much to be there for them in the slightest, smallest ways. If I can give them a smile, if I can help them in the smallest gesture, that is my way of taking care of me. Her archetype, her personality, characteristic, if you like, she saw herself as a caregiver. She wanted to serve people in that way. It gave her a purpose. I spoke to her and said to her, for you to be able to continue on your purpose, can you afford not to take care of you? Maybe it's about balance. Because her health was failing. And she said to me, maybe you have a point there. Maybe in life it is about balance. Maybe in life it is about balance. But I've stopped doing that. I find it hard to accept, to ask for help, to take help when it's offered. Because it feels like I'm saying I'm not coping. It feels like I'm saying I can't do. And I said, I wonder how it would feel when you're giving so generously to other people if they were to say, I can't accept because it feels like I'm saying I'm weak, I can't cope. How would it feel like if that's what they said to you? And she said, no, but I don't see it as that. I feel that it's a strength for them to receive. I said, what's good for the other person needs to be good for you too. Humility. In compassion, kindness and caring, we need to be able to receive as well as giving. And she stopped and she thought about it. And she said, Yes, I maybe need to not neglect me too. Maybe I can afford to take just a little time for me and give back to me. So here's an important lesson for today. If you're someone who's always rushing around and busy, and finding it hard to make time for you, just stop in the day and find that time to give back to you too. Giving back to you is a way of self-love and self-care. We make the time for who is important and what is important in our life. You are worthy and you are important too. If we don't look after ourselves, we can't be there for other people because we run ourselves into the ground. We make ourselves unwell. Saying no is important. If something doesn't feel right, if we have anxiety, if we feel pressured, if there's a sense of urgency where we feel that something is causing us alarm, questioning us, if we're thinking there's something not right and our intuition and our gut is telling us, this feels too much, this is uncomfortable, this doesn't sit well with me, then it probably isn't right. It probably isn't healthy, and our intuition and gut is serving us well. It is good to say no. It is healthy to say no. And if it is yours to say no for and to be able to say no to something, then no is a good word. Boundaries are important. Having those boundaries is a way of self-care. Being able to say no to people when we're a caregiver is really important. It might be no, not now, or no, not ever, depending on what the no is for and the no is to. Remember, it's important to be able to understand what's healthy in life and understand the agenda, understand the intention. What is the intention? Are you giving lovingly? Are you receiving lovingly? Is it to do with good intentions? Because not everyone has the best intentions. If we give and we feel resentful, we need to then maybe ask, are we giving too much? I'd like to talk more about this at some point. If you're open to having conversations about this, feel free to message me at stepupcmg@xln.co.uk. If you're interested in coming on and having a talk with me about any subject on mental health, feel free to message me and we can have a conversation. This is Catherine Gallagher and this is CMG Talk. The next conversation when I go live will be on communication. I'll also do a talk on healthy relationships, couple relationships, friendships, and there might be other conversations too. This was on self-care. This was on about caring for you and caring for others. But having the right balance is important too. Look after you in all that you do in self-care. And remember, be vigilant around there in life and make sure that you get the balance right too. Have a good day. Have a great, wonderful time today and make sure you put in some fun and enjoyment and take in and be mindful of what's going on around you today. Because gratitudes and finding things that you can be grateful for throughout the day helps to maintain a good and positive mindset. Thanks for listening. This is Catherine Gallagher and this is CMG Talk. Look out for the talks I'm going to be doing. If you're interested in coming along, then book in. Speak soon. Bye for now.